doesn't make sense too. Like if you're an alien from another dimension or from another galaxy, why would you just be standing in the middle of a fucking road?
Okay, so let's think about this. So if you are an alien from some other realm, and you want to abduct someone, and if you show up as an alien standing in the middle of the road, they're going to freak out, right? So if you show up as something familiar that wouldn't be that unusual, an owl, then okay, there's an owl on the side of the road. You know, so a deer on the side of the road. It gets a little murky when Jesus shows up, but
right.
So, so the implication is they are using an animal that wouldn't be unusual to see, and that they are using some sort of screen memory, some sort of induced hypnosis, let's say, to get into the mind of the observer and mess with it in a way that makes them think they're seeing an owl when in fact it's a gray alien standing in front of them. Now, I cover that very early on in my first book, the screen memory aspect, and then I'm much more interested in the people who are seeing real owls. I think that's much more fascinating to me. It's much more mysterious to me.
And I feel like it taints your research when you go to a UFO conference and start asking people about owls, because everyone's going to want to talk about, it's connected to aliens or whatever. I feel like if you go outside of people who are interested in UFOs, just regular people, and ask them about owls. Have you ever done that? Just like
Sure.
Casually asking people if they've had any odd experience with owls.
Oh yeah,
and then,
all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
And owls are such weird animals. Like, have you seen? I'm sure you've seen the videos of people on YouTube who have them as pets, and they just they hang out with them, they pet them, and they chew on their finger a little bit. So they're very, very, just it's mind bending the way they move and their aura that they have. There was a hilarious YouTube comment on a video. Somebody said owls, they're animals. They have bird hardware with cat software.
Yeah. So they can, yeah. So unlike other birds, most birds are sort of twitchy and nervous looking. Owls are not, because they're
not scared. They're not twitchy and kind of jittery like normal birds are.
Not at all.
Even a parakeet or a parrot or something or a seagull. They're what's crazy about owls is that they're one of the top predatory birds there are. Like owls kill hawks.
Yeah. So owls have specialized eyes to see in the dark. Obviously, they hunt in the dark. They fly in the dark. They can fly through the forest in almost complete darkness. Right? Because of that, their eyes are really big. Their eyes collectively are bigger than their brains. And then their eyes are not shaped like they're shaped more like a tube rather than a circle. So we have circular eyeballs. They're a ball, so we can look back and forth. Owls can't do that. Their eyes are locked straight ahead. They cannot turn their eyes side to side like any other bird could. And because their eyes are locked forward, that's why they have that really weird robotic head motion. Because they use that. So an owl, and they also have wonderful night vision. They also have very, very good hearing. So they can fly at night in the forest, through the trees, near complete darkness, and they can listen. Their feathers are specially designed so they're very quiet, and they don't make any noise when they fly, so they can look down and hear the sound of a mouse on the ground while in flight, and that's how they hunt. Right.
Are there any other birds or animals that have eyes like that are long and locked in place?
I can't answer that. I don't think there are any other birds. I think it's only the owls that have the night vision hardware.
That's wild.
So they so owls are, so they did some scientific testing. They had a totally dark, they took a barn, they made it totally light tight, zero available light, and then they could control the amount of light. So they put light in that would be, to our eyes, undetectable, like lower than we could see. And then they put an owl up in the rafter, and then they let mice go in the bottom of the barn. And they said they had better results when they put forest duff on the ground. So the mice were walking on, making the little crunchy noise, as if they were walking across leaves and grass and stuff. So they'd let a mouse go, and the owl, in almost near darkness, would get the mouse 100% of the time. When they turned it to total darkness, the owl, only using its ears, can't see anything, would get the mouse 75% of the time. That's roughly the data.
Wow.
So you don't stand much of a chance if you're a little mouse in the woods at night. So.
Do you think that the owls have the ability to see into like another dimension?
Isn't that the question? I have no idea. I would love that that's a great avenue of speculation. And I had fun speculating about that in the book. Like, I have no idea, but isn't that, so that if they can see into another dimension, that answers why they show up in haunted house movies. That answers why they show up in ghost stories, right? Ghosts come from another dimension. So
well, if any animal could see into another dimension, it would be an owl, right? Because they have the most advanced visual sense and auditory sense than probably any other animal, right?
Any other vertebrate,
and their eyes are so enormous, and they can see in virtually pitch black. If any animal could see into another realm, it would be an owl.
Yes. So that's my avenue of thought. I would love for that. That would explain so much, right? So can the owl like see through time? Does it know like that the UFO is approaching, right? Mm. Why do owls show up before a UFO then, right? If given that logic, maybe there's like some the UFO gives off gamma rays and the owl can see it, and the owls are curious and they're just like, wow, what's that thing over on the other side of the forest? I'm going to fly over and look at it, right? They're seeing something emanating from the UFO the same way that, like we can't hear a dog whistle, but the dog can, and the dog can respond to it. Maybe the flying saucer is like a giant dog whistle to the owls.
Right.
But why do they show up before the UFO?
Yeah,
it's tough. It's tough. I mean, it's a fun avenue of speculation.
Do you think it could be a possibility that the owls are trying to warn us about something, or do you think it's sort of like the whatever the beings are kind of tapping into the owls and trying to like make sure the coast is clear and make sure there's not going to be any witnesses or something like that?
If that's the case, then the owl is absolutely the perfect animal to do that, right? Because they can see in the dark, and if you're like, so that implies that the aliens somehow can read the mind of the owl, right? So the owl flies into the location, they scope it out, they say, okay, there's no other witnesses here, there's nobody else on the street, everyone else is in bed, I can hear that it's quiet. If there was someone in the house walking around, the owl would be able to hear it. If the owl's sitting on a tree branch near the house, it's not going to cause any, it's not that interesting if someone sees that or notices that at night. If there's a gray alien standing in the yard listening to the house, that might, if a witness saw that, if a neighbor saw that, it might be pretty strange. So yes, so there's a way to think about that. But given that model, the UFO occupants would have to tap into the mind of the owl somehow to like, or do they abduct the owl and put a little sensor in it, just like, we would do it in a drone, like a little video camera in the owl?
It doesn't seem too far-fetched that they could tap into the vision of an owl, or tap into the mind of an owl, just to use it as kind of like a surveillance cameras. It'd
be the perfect surveillance camera. Yeah, I speculate about that in the book, and I'm cautious because I get dead-ended anytime I go down that road. It's like, why would they do that? Why is it happening so often? What's really going on?